Hey guys, it's Morna, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about product design form development. And what I'd like to do is give you one tip for improving your form giving skills. So stick around. Okay, let's not look at the kitchen mess because I haven't cleaned it up yet. Okay, so the tip that I'm going to be sharing with you is going to help you more so in CAD rather than sketching, because in CAD you can be a lot more specific. It's also going to help you to create forms that feel like more than just like a lump of CAD. Okay, it's going to help you to create a form that really feels like it's unified in its kind of visual language. So let's look at these three objects for a minute. While they may seem different, they actually share something in common. And each of these forms feels like it's speaking its own visual language. Now, how each form has achieved this kind of unified, harmonious feel is the tip that I'm going to be giving you. And here's the tip. When you are creating a form, think about how you can repeat elements in that form. And what I mean by elements are the elements of design. So things like line, shape, form. And the reason why you want to repeat elements is to create harmony. So this is actually a principle of design, which is repetition. And the principle goes that if you want something to feel harmonious, repeat it. However, if you repeat it too many times, it will become monotonous or boring. So this principle actually reminds me of a saying, which goes, same, but different, okay? And I think that's a good way to approach repetition in design, where you want to try and repeat things, but you don't want to do it so many times that it becomes completely predictable. And this is actually the product that made me think of this video, because I was staring at it and looking at all the repeated fillets. And so maybe let's just start there at how many repeated fillets there are in this device. So the first obvious one is, around the display. So here, and here, and here, because they've used the buttons as kind of part of this, trying to unify this whole thing. And so they unify it by, creating the same fillet here as it is up here, so it feels like all one thing. If you look from above, it's this fillet here, this fillet, and then on the back here, and the back here. So all of the four corners kind of going this way. And it's actually repeated again, not the exact same, but it's still quite a two generous fillets on either side, here and here, which kind of plays to this language, which is quite a large fillet and larger fillet here. And then one of the things that they've done to kind of unify the coffee pot with this, with the machine, is they've added a very generous rad here in this direction and at the bottom here. To make it feel like it belongs with, this kind of generously radiused form. And I bet you that if we looked at the coffee pot from the top view and put the coffee pot rad on top of this, the machine rad, I bet you they are probably the same. And so that's again another way that they've really, used this idea of repetition to create harmony. Okay, so while we are looking at sort of examples of nice looking forms, good looking forms, I think we should also, just for contrast, look at a form that is perhaps exceptionally ugly and see if we can find out why is this form just so ugly, so hideous? So this is a remote for a projector screen, which I'm sure is just made in China. So I think part of the reason why this is such a strange looking form, there's a number of reasons. One is the kind of like haphazard use of different kind of visual elements or different shapes and forms. If we look at the overall form, there's this kind of like half circle element here. There is an elliptical element here. There is like a kind of a curve here. There's a curve here. But then like there's two parallel straight lines here, and then there's two angled lines moving outwards here. The fillets here and here are actually different sizes, which also again contributes to the kind of random quality of this form, this kind of overall collection of things. Then they've used a pill shape here for this button. Even these arrow buttons, they have a kind of curve to them. They're not a straight line, whereas there's straight lines here. So it's almost like they've used every single type of kind of anything that you could use, they've used it. It's very arbitrary and does not feel cohesive. It's like they've gone down the list of all the possible shapes you could use in a form and just checked them all off, and they've covered all grounds with this. So let's look at some of the repeated elements in this form. The first kind of major one is there's a repetition of a circle shape right here. And this circle is actually a pivot point because this is a folding chair. And it's actually kind of a nice that the form replicates a motion that is kind of circular, right? So that's a nice detail, I think, there. But this circle is actually repeated. There's a very slight, soft, concave circular shape in the base of this form, and it's actually repeated up here too. I don't know if you can see in this, the way that the light, there we go. See that? So there's a half circle here, or close to it. There's another circular here, and then there's this circular shape here. So that's one instance of repeated shapes. Then of course there is kind of overall, this is made up of rectilinear forms. The backrest overall is kind of rectilinear if you look at it from frontal view. These legs are kind of like extruded rectangles, so there's like a repetition of that. If you look at the fillets, that's another place where there's a lot of repetition. But I think it's a good thing to start noticing in other products, because this repetition, especially of fillets, I would imagine the fillets that are used here, all here, here, and here are the same or very close to being the same, so that all the legs kind of feel like they're the same thing. I would imagine the dimensions, this being the same as this, being the same as this, so you start to create repetitions in the form. Now, what I think is nice about this form, coming back to our principle of design, which is, I think of like same but different, and there's a lot of rectilinear forms in this form, in this overall thing, and yet there are these kind of surprise elements of the circles. One circle, two circle, and then this other kind of half circle element, which is a little bit different, right? And also too, you could talk about like how, sharp is all relative, but smaller fillets along the edges versus these two very soft, like these would be huge fillets in the computer, and they're very, very soft forms here and here, and then contrasting that with, you know, the sharper edge here. So it's like same but different. So let's look at the form and repeated elements in this earbud. So see this pill shape opening? If we just kind of even turn it around, you can see already there's another pill shape. Turn it over, there is another pill shape. And there again is another pill shape. So all of the openings on the earbud are the same shape. Now, whether or not that the largest opening is exactly a pill shape, and by pill shape, I always think of pill shapes as having straight, parallel lines. So the other thing where this pill shape is repeated is actually in this kind of this stem part here, right along here. And if we look at, you can kind of see it here. It appears to be another pill shape, and I'm sure if we took a cross section somewhere there, we would see that it is in fact a pill shape that's been extruded. But coming back to our principle of design, how they have circumvented that in this form is, you know, in this kind of circular, you know, not everything in the form is pill shape. This part of the shape is very much almost circular, and then, you know, everything else is kind of, there's some blend from a pill to a circle. Here we go. Let me just put it down for a minute. So they blended a pill shape extruded into kind of a circular cylindrical form that's been blended through here, and so that kind of lends a difference, makes it different than if everything was a pill. Okay guys, well that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I always appreciate when you leave comments or like the video, and we'll see you guys next time.